Hi, everybody. This is John Murphy at Murtech.com with your daily news update. Okay, here we are on August the 6th in the year of our Lord 2026, and we have some great information for you tonight. So let me go ahead and click Murtech on Rumble. Get over here to my Rumble channel. This is the video we're going over tonight, episode 2001. So let me click into that. And let me see here. We've got Glow and Debbie BS have joined us in the chat. Good deal. Thank you, ladies. I'll be back with you here in just a moment. But let's slide down here and click the Show More button to expand out the description box. We have information from Dan Bongino, USA Watchdog, Greg Hunter, with Tim Haviland, also the Mel K Show, and Wendy Bell Radio. But before we get into that, I have a ton of shout outs to give. Susan080 and Spartan Sardaka Car commented on my daily news wrap up. Also, Debbie BS reposted my episode 2000. Glow and Viper Senior and Debbie BS commented on my episode 2000. Cottonball 31, Viper Senior, and Maine Pro Spouse commented on my episode 1999. Debbie BS commented on my extra 782A. Debbie BS and Red Pill Inn commented on my extra 782B. Glow, Debbie BS, and Bay State Gem 95 commented on my extra 782C. Debbie BS commented on my extra 783A and 783B. So thank you very much, folks, for your comments and reposting my videos. I greatly appreciate that. And I definitely appreciate the support. And I enjoy reading your comments. So thank you so very much. Let me give this a thumbs up. Boom. There we go. Okay, Glow has given me a comment. Hello, all. Yahoo, number 3, Rumble. Show shared too. Well, thank you so much, Glow. Debbie BS, thumbs up number 4. All right. Oh, okay. You're voting too often. Okay. Excuse me, Rumble. And Debbie BS, thank you. And thank you, Debbie BS. Okay. I've got some more shout outs here. I had a ton of comments and repostings and also a ton of people following me today. Corey's mom just started following my channel. Mike Dog 1 started following my channel. Maine Pro Spouse just started following my channel and gave me a comment too. Eric Olson just started following my channel. Immersed just started following my channel. A Pierce 66 just started following my channel. Nag 1229 just started following my channel. R Martin 418 just started following my channel. Millie Vans just started following my channel. Grace Fire 852 just started following my channel. 917-882-8836 just started following my channel. Laura K Key just started following my channel. Cornelius Rex 23 just started following my channel. Tear 5 Kia 40 just started following my channel. Joe Allen Q just started following me. Nessa Jones just started following my channel. And R Sullivan 22 just started following my channel. Whew. Well, thank you so very much, folks, for following my channel. I do appreciate that. I hope you're tuned in and I hope you enjoy the content tonight. Let me give this a thumbs up. There we go. Man, I'm out of breath. Okay, let's get in here and see what Dan Bongino has to say. Awareness, episode 2568. Let's check into that and see what that's all about. Oh, man, I thought I had this all set up here.
Us for how patch and what I permitted others.
Okay.
Money. Not easy to say,
right after
go along
this commercial.
Because awareness of the from some kind of spoke to the Dan team. It was with you. I kind of go power the story, by the way. Gray
Past his
no, it says 10.
introduction and his first commercial and get right into this here.
Dangerous. Finally has some
There we go. Patriot
you get the
Mobile.
quest just of American 9 side fellas.
Here we
Let's
go.
go. By the way, correction, Paula was the one on the phone on speaker with Patriot Mobile. But I promise I was right there listening to the less than 5 minutes it took to transfer both of our phones. It was quite an experience. Folks, awareness. Again, I hope it's all starting to make sense now. And you're starting to see how many of you have been played by a coalition of doomers and left-wing media people who are eager to destroy this MAGA movement because it's a threat to their very existence, their donor networks, their activist networks, their NGOs, everything. They can't have that happen. This is the most powerful political movement you've seen in America in a long time, regardless if you like or can't stand Donald Trump. I think we know where I stand on that. Regardless of where you stand, I think it's pretty clear right now that this populist movement is a real threat to the tyranny of the insiders. Folks, however, if you want a friend in Washington, D.C., as I learned, I think sometimes a very difficult way, what do I always tell you, Jasmine? Get a freaking dog. Get a doggy. Jasmine, get a dog. You want a friend in D.C. Josh, don't laugh. You may go to D.C. one day. And I'm going to tell you before you leave, you want a friend in D.C., get a doggy. I don't care what kind of dog. You can get a Lucy dog, a little golden doodle, mini golden doodle. Loves Jasmine, by the way. I hear her on, there's a wood floor in the studio, and Lucy can't stop when she starts. She like slides across the floor into Jasmine. I don't care what kind of dog you get. Lucy does like Josh. Josh is quite a photographer. Josh is taking some pictures of Lucy. They look fake. Look like they come in those, the picture frames. Now, I kind of knew that, but I want you to watch this. This is from what is this, Russell G? I don't know this guy at all. I don't really care. Russell G. Banks. I want you to listen to this minute or so about awareness and how ignorance can be bliss. But once you process what I'm telling you, that everyone's got an agenda. Everyone has an agenda. I'm not necessarily saying that's a horrendous thing in many cases. Your agenda might be a really great thing. It might be freedom, faith, liberty, pro-life, the Second Amendment. But once you recognize that, it's hard to go back. Check this out.
The truest words was from Nietzsche when he said that any man who knows too much can't fit in anywhere. And that's the curse of awareness. Once you start to delve underneath the surface, that's when you realize this whole world, it's not so simple. And you start to notice who people really are and the games they're playing. And that fake confidence, all the ulterior motives. And you realize this whole society, it's built on lies. And people, they're sheep. And once you see that, you can't unsee that. So you try and tell people. But they say to you, no, you're overreacting. You are crazy. So you stop talking. But you're still observing. You're still watching. But you know you don't belong anymore. And it's not because you think you're too good for anyone. No. It's because you've seen too much and you're watching everything. And now you know you can't go back to how it was anymore. And awareness, it isolates you. And it's the price of clarity. Because the crowd say, move away. But then at least you know who you are.
That one kind of hit me hard because I watch people now, online and elsewhere, and they don't know me. They don't know anything about me. They don't listen to anything I say, despite the fact that I've said it 1,000 times, but they have an agenda. And one of the greatest gifts of the last year of my life, year and a half, is an awareness, no matter how painful it's been to listen to all like the bullshit out there, knowing not only that it's not true, but the opposite is true. But man, was it a gift. And I so deeply appreciate it. Folks, it's not easy to stand alone with this stuff. I bring this up because you're seeing this massive movement in the Folex MAGA side on the right, and there are people inside the government right now, very powerful, who insist that I'll be the last one to have my head cut off if I just leave these people alone, when I've told you over and over, because I am fully aware of what's happening now, that it is only a matter of time before they turn on you too. I'll show you later in the show what I mean. Ignorance may be bliss, and it may be easy, but it's not right. I've told you, and now you're starting to see as information comes out and it trickles out slowly but surely, you're starting to see that almost everything you've been told is bullshit. I put up for you the other day that Wall Street Journal story about the Central Park horse-drawn carriages. What the hell does that have to do with anything? Because everyone on every side of that, about horse-drawn, what do you care about that for? Every single thing you've been told about that argument is someone with an agenda. The one guy wants the horse stables and is pretending it's about animal rights. The animal rights group is saying they were abused, although the vets are saying they're not abused. Everybody has an agenda. That's just the way the world works, folks. It's Thomas Sowell's conflict of visions. The left thinks everybody's pure at heart. I'm not telling you everybody's evil. I'm just telling you everybody is a rational maximizer trying to make their life better. And once you see it and become aware of it, you will be the better person for it. Here's the article right there. Forgetting the doomers for a minute, I'll get back to that in a little bit. I want to show you what awareness looks like when you've been an NPC falling for the current thing for years, and you start to realize that the bullshit has flowed over you too, and you almost can't wash it off. This is Tim Robbins on the Joe Rogan show. Tim Robbins, you know him, was Bull Durham, famous actor, Shawshank. He's been in a ton of movies. Goes on and on. Tim Robbins is a pretty hard left guy, correct? I want you to watch what it looks like when he realizes that lefty-driven cancel culture, he doesn't mention it started on the left, but it did. You remember cancel culture. Talk about masks, talk about COVID, talk about the 2020 election malfeasance. You were canceled. I was banned from YouTube for telling you cloth masks don't work. You look it up. Don't tell me like, oh, you're fine. Go look it up yourself. I always bring the receipts. Cancel culture was a Soviet Stalin-esque movement to stop anyone from speaking about objective truth so that the government would let you know who the big boss was. And a lot of lefties who claimed to be about tolerance and coexistence showed they were full of shit, that it wasn't about coexistence at all. It was about subjugation. This is what it looks like, though, when the curtain parts and you're exposed sitting there like the emperor with no clothes. Listen to this.
Was the uptake on the vaccines in Romania? And they said something like 40%. I said, well, how do you explain that? And they said, well, you know, we lived under the Soviet Union for many years, so we know how to look like we comply when we're not complying. And I said, what else reminds you of the Soviet Union? They said, without a doubt, cancel culture. I said, why? I said, well, Soviet Union used to keep files on all of us, right? So as long as you're a good party member, there wouldn't be a thing said.
Yeah.
But once you stepped out of line, they brought out that old file. Now that affair with your secretary from 30 years ago, it's going to ruin your life. They're going to ruin your family. They're going to kill your career. And they're going to make a big public display of it to show other people to stay in line. And they felt like cancel culture was basically operating in the same way as the Soviet Union did. And it was really interesting to see that perspective in Eastern Europe.
All of a sudden, you're seeing the Bill Maher's of the world, the Van Joneses of the world, the Fettermans of the world, people like this starting to realize, like, gosh, I've been ignorant to this the whole time. And then when you see it, you know, you almost never. It happens occasionally. What's the guy? There was a guy out there, David something, I forget his name. Brock, probably wasn't it Brock? Occasionally you see people on the right float to the left. It's very rare, but it happens. I'd argue like David French, another one. Like, why? What motives? I don't know. Everybody's got an agenda. I just said that. But you see a whole shit ton of lefties who move over to the right. I'm not telling you Tim Robbins is a conservative at all. I'm just telling you, when they start to see that the right is about positions and longitudinal truths, chronological truths over time, and the left is all about bullshit and faith in an argument that has never worked, socialism, communism, it's a really brutal wake-up call. I mean, imagine waking up every morning, or waking up one morning, I should say, looking in the mirror and finding out every single thing you thought about yourself that was good was fake. Folks, that's got to be hard. We all have the potential for bad actions and evil in us, all of us. But a lot of us are just good folks, net present value good. We do more good than bad. We would hope. Imagine learning everything on your spreadsheet of good versus evil on the good ledger was all wrong and was just not only not good, but was downright evil. I believe in communism, socialism, all this stuff. I'm the good guy. I want equity and equality and all this other shit. And then you find out that what you've supported actually does the opposite. It destroys people's lives. It leads to gulags, prisons, torture, poverty, famine, and has every single time it's been tried. Imagine what that looks like. Folks,
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause this here. You know, he's absolutely right. That's the thing about communism. Everybody is equal, except for the people on top, of course. The very few, the one percenters. I mean, there's no middle class. It's the one percenter elites, and then everyone else has the same thing. You know, wrecked houses, a car that barely runs if they have a car. Everyone else is equal. Hey, this is what you wanted. Everyone equal, except, of course, you know, the elites. And you better not say anything about them, or as what he said there, they'll pull the file on you. But this video will be in my daily news wrap up. He's got about an hour left. So let me click on the Rumble link here and show you that this video does come from the Dan Bongino show. This is a video I shared with you. I've given him a thumbs up. He only got 8,990 some thumbs up. Okay, so, you know, no big deal. Let's jump back over here and slide down. And Schaefer's joined us along with Debbie BS and Glow. And Ellen C has jumped in there. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Ellen C. And okay, Glow and Debbie BS, you were having some problems where you had to do a refresh. Okay, when I saw that in there, I jumped over here and did a speed test. Okay, and my internet speed, I'm running at 223.76 megabytes per second. So it might be Rumble because my speed seems to be fine. It's over 200 megabytes per second. So just to let you know there, FYI, I pay attention to what you guys say in the chat, and it's very important, the things that you say to me. Okay, let me slide down here. Oh, I had to do a refresh on this, so let me open the description box again. USA Watchdog. America knows they've been lied to about CV19 vax with Tom Haviland. Let's check this out. It's pretty important stuff, folks. Here we go. I wonder what's in those jars there, huh? Anybody have an idea? Let me know in the chat or the comments. Okay, I'm going to have to do a refresh. I guess this audio isn't coming through, so let me do a quick refresh and we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Greg Hunter. Welcome to USAWatchdog.com. You know, I've covered the CV-19 bioweapon shots. Yes, Francis Boyle, who wrote the 1989 Bioweapons Act, called it and swore in court that it was a bioweapon. It is indeed a bioweapon, the CV-19 shots. I just want to thank Anthony Fauci. And the reason why is because people like me and people like my next guest and other people who called bull crap on these shots and said, don't take them. They're bioweapons. They're dangerous. They won't help you. They won't hurt you. You know, for all the people and the grief that everybody took being, deplatformed and, fired from jobs and the unbelievable amount of, excommunicated from families and big rifts from you're just an anti-vaxxer. I want to thank Anthony Fauci for basically legitimizing everything we ever said by standing up in Congress and telling them that he's pleading the Fifth Amendment. Mr. Big Shot, would not talk, had nothing to say, pled the Fifth over 100 times. When he was Mr. Chatty Cathy, he basically legitimized everything we ever said because he basically revealed himself a liar. Thank you, Anthony Fauci. We appreciate you finally revealing you're a lying piece of garbage who murdered and disabled people globally with your CV-19 shots that even made you sick. And one of the people who've been on this is my guest, Tom Haviland, a retired Air Force major who took it upon himself, hi, Tom, to do these surveys 4 in a row with embalmers, and they found nasty. Show them, Tom. Show them what they found.
They showed white fibrous clots.
That's right.
Yeah. And embalmers have never seen before in their 20 or 30 years of experience until the years of COVID and the vaccines, Greg. Yeah, and you're right. Anthony Fauci lied to us, right? He held a secret. He was actually injured himself. He had a dangerous blood clot, a pulmonary embolism, at the very same time that he was telling people that the vaccines were safe and effective. After he had taken his vaccine and got a pulmonary embolism. Very sinister stuff.
He didn't take another one after that. He says he took 4. I think the reporting is he took 4. Oh no, he didn't. I don't think so.
I have a hard time believing that too. After his blood clot.
After his blood clot. Your work got published. You were a writer of article, got published in a big medical journal, right? I mean, people are taking you seriously. You basically surveyed over 4 years hundreds of embalmers, and you found the same thing over and over and over again. Is that dying down now?
It's not really, Greg. That's the very scary part of this. The embalmers are still seeing these unusual white fibrous clots in between like 18 to 20% of their corpses currently in 2026. I recently took a survey at the Tennessee Funeral Directors Association's annual convention in Chattanooga, Tennessee. That was on May the 31st of this year. And they invited me back for a second year in a row, Greg. That's how concerned these Tennessee embalmers are about this unusual phenomenon. Like I said, prior to COVID and the vaccines, they had only seen 2 types of clots. What's called grape jelly clots. They look like dark grape jelly. They dissolve easily in your hands. They'd also seen something called chicken fat clots in the past. And those are yellowish in color, small, and tear very easily. Much, much different than these large white fibrous clots, which are real tough and rubbery. The embalmers describe them as what looks like calamari, and they stretch like a rubber band, very tough. So it's a new phenomenon. And the Tennessee embalmers were so scared, they invited me back for a second year to talk to them about it. And I took a survey while I was there. And this year, in the first half of 2026, the Tennessee embalmers are still seeing the white fibrous clots in about 18% of their corpses. So this, unfortunately, is a situation that these are not going away. And we think that's because the mRNA from the COVID vaccines is persistent. It was supposed to dissipate and leave your body within 2 days to a week after people got their injections. after it produced just enough spike protein to elicit an immune response. But that's not what it's doing at all. There's been papers out there. Dr. McCullough has one, for example, where you had a patient that was found continuing to produce spike protein from their mRNA vaccine 3.5 years after their last jab. This is serious stuff.
I know it's not going away. That people think, and they also have people. Lindsey Graham was a big proponent of this. As a matter of fact, he was a big proponent of this. You have a story about Lindsey Graham at the White House with the president, right? And somebody else. Go ahead about why the president was booed every time he brought up the CV-19 shots, as he should be. I should say. Yeah. And I'm not a Trump hater, but I am a CV-19 shot hater. Go ahead.
Me too. And in fact, country western star John Rich talks about this. He was at a big dinner with President Trump, and he was sitting right next to President Trump. And Lindsey Graham was at the same dinner too, across the table from them. And John says that President Trump turned to him and said, "John Rich, can I ask you a question?" And John said, "Sure, Mr. President." He says, "Why is it at my rallies, everybody loves everything that I say, but the minute I bring up the COVID-19 vaccines, I start getting boos from the crowd?" And John said, "Mr. President, I would boo you. I would boo you because I know people in my own family and friends that have either been injured or killed by the vaccine." And Herschel Walker started to chime in as well. He was at the dinner as well. And he says, "Yes, I know people as well that said that they know people that have been injured or killed by the vaccines." Right then, Lindsey Graham spoke up and he tried to defend the vaccines. He said, "Sir, they don't know what they're talking about. The vaccines have saved hundreds of millions of people's lives." And John Rich looked at Lindsey Graham and said, "The president was talking to me, not to you." So, so he shut up Lindsey Graham.
I don't know where Lindsey Graham got that, where it saved hundreds of millions. What study did that come out of? Because it's a bioweapon. The Pfizer papers say, and now the prevailing evidence says it did not stop transmission. That's a fact. It did not stop infection. That's a fact. And it does not make it less. As a matter of fact, from the very beginning, the Pfizer documents showed that if you got CV-19 shots, you were more prone to get COVID.
Correct. The Cleveland Clinic study showed the same thing, Greg. They've surveyed their own 55,000 employees and showed that the more COVID-19 vaccines they took, the greater those chance those people that took more vaccines had of catching COVID, which makes sense because the shots were being given for specific variants. And every time they gave a shot, by the time that shot came out of the market, that variant had already become extinct and been surpassed by the next variant. So they were priming your system to look for an old variant of the virus, and when a new variant was the one that was predominant. So it was training the system incorrectly. That's part of the problem with vaccines. So it's just been a total debacle. But the good news is now we have this document, the results of my 4 years of my survey in the peer-reviewed literature. It's in the International Journal of Innovative Research and Medical Science, and it has four key, results to that paper, Greg. The first is this is indeed a worldwide phenomenon. We surveyed United States, Canada, UK, Australia, New Zealand, and embalmers in each of those countries have said they are indeed seeing these unusual white fibrous clots.
Okay, I'm going to pause that there. This video also will be in my daily news wrap-up. If you want to see more of that, tune in. If you can't make the daily news wrap-up, the link to this video is in the description box. Okay, so let me click on the Rumble link here and show you that this video does come from Greg Hunter's USA Watchdog. This is the video I shared with you. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right, let's jump back here. And yeah, Debbie BS and Glow, I agree with you. Yeah, I bet, I thought the same thing about those clots in Lindsey Graham. Okay, it's unbelievable why there hasn't been more information out about this and why Donald Trump seems to be in the dark about this. I don't understand. It's amazing. Okay, let's go to Mel K Show. How much more evidence is needed for indictments? Okay, I'm going to let her do a little talk, and then she's going to go into like some commercials and things. So I'm going to skip it up to the 9-minute mark after that. How much more evidence is needed for how much more evidence is needed for
why Trump won? Unsubtle communicators, people who will tell the truth in an unsubtle, plain-spoken fashion, because there is a market out there. People are desperate for people who will dump the pablum and get serious about the crisis and the emergency that this country is in. That's why Trump won. And when he's gone, the people who win again, they'll never be able to emulate or replicate it. But the one lesson is, do not be subtle, do not pull your punches, and do not let them pull the wool over the eyes of the American people when it comes to the crisis that we face. We don't need, the trouble with subtle.
And that's what we do here at the Milk
I thought he was talking about you.
Well,
and then he mentioned Trump, and I'm like, what about Milk A?
Welcome back to not mornings, afternoons, because it's 1 o'clock Eastern, and we are here at the Mel K Show. Thank you for joining us.
Can I just tell them? So you had a hit this morning on Real America's Voice, so we moved it to 1. But we've been told that the noon spot is really crowded with all the big names who get all that. Yeah. Anyway, so we may consider 1 o'clock. If you want to drop us a note in the chat and let us know your thoughts, 12 or 1, we'd be happy to hear that.
Yep. So let's get started. First and foremost, I want to thank everyone who has bought my book. Again, it is purposely for people from 16, 17 years old till as old as you get, because it is very simply documented on the fledgling and hopping along X account that does not grow. But if you want to follow me at X, it's at Mel K Show.
Is this more about gold and silver?
Well, I want to remind you of the exchange that now has people talking again, finally, as we go into, I think, 37 trillion in debt. Yet they tell us that there's $600 billion of taxpayer fraud a year. $600 billion a year. And on top of that, they want us to continue paying taxes. Of course, the Federal Reserve did not come in under progressive, traitorous Wilson administration alone. It also came in with the IRS. A lot of people have been saying at this point, the Federal Reserve has to be rethought or no longer exist. It is neither federal nor a reserve. And this clip played yesterday, and I just want to remind you of this and something else that Ron Paul has been talking about for years and years. It is time for the American people to talk about it. Take a listen.
You handed out this morning, and I was wondering if you could take your copy and turn to page 26.
Okay.
There's a table on page 26 which consists of your balance sheet, and one of the entries on the balance sheet is under assets, central bank liquidity swaps, which shows an increase from the end of 2007 from $24 billion to $553 billion and change at the end of 2008. What's that?
Those are swaps that were done with foreign central banks. Many foreign banks are short dollars. And so they come into our markets looking for dollars and drive up interest rates and create volatility in our markets. What we have done is, with a number of major central banks, like the European Central Bank, for example, we swap our currency, dollars, for their currency, euros. They take the dollars, lend it out to the banks in their jurisdiction. That helps bring down interest rates in the global market for dollars. And meanwhile, we're not lending to those banks. We're lending to the central bank. The central bank is responsible for repaying us.
Oh. So who got the money?
To financial institutions in Europe and other countries.
Which ones?
I don't know.
$500 billion, and you don't know who got the money?
The loans go to the central banks, and they then put them out to their institutions to try to bring down short-term interest rates in dollar markets around the world.
Well, let's start with which central banks got the money.
There are 14 of them, which are listed I'm sure they're listed in here somewhere.
Okay, let's be very clear. As I've said many times, and I cover deeply in my book, there was an international reconstruction of the architecture of international finance in the years my book covers. And frankly, at this point, it is, they make it so complicated sounding, but really it's theft of the U.S. taxpayer money being sent all over the world to banks that I believe still have immunity. Remember, the BIS, IMF, World Bank, and 63 banks connected to them have immunity since 1945 in the International Organization Immunity Act, meaning even the IMF and World Bank, which are on U.S. soil, cannot be audited, cannot be investigated. No legal action can taken. We have no jurisdiction, the United States of America, over these international institutions, even the banks on our own soil. There's tons of development banks and all of this. All I know is the money has been looted, laundered, and stolen from the U.S. taxpayer to the tune of trillions and trillions of dollars that we need to deal with and be honest about. These people, particularly Bernanke, please remember 2008 was not a accident. I firmly believe that it was a controlled demolition of the international and current United States at the time financial markets to consolidate power into specific banks that are globally aligned and to crush and destroy all of the local banks that actually invested in their own communities. I believe 1,400 banks shut down, including Rob's. And frankly, I mean, he held on, people held on, but then they put in all these restrictions after and new regulations. But whatever happened in 2008, it was never dealt with. Nobody went to jail. Nobody was held accountable. That is largely because of Eric Holder's collateral consequences memo. JP Morgan paid $11 billion, but nobody got in trouble. It doesn't make sense, but that's because Eric Holder and his friends in the DOJ and elsewhere decided that certain people and certain institutions, namely the big banks and the big foundations, are too important to have investigations done on them or to hold people, individuals accountable. As Hannah Arendt said in Origins of Totalitarianism, if everybody is guilty, nobody is guilty. So we want specific people. Rob wants to say something, but I want to play another clip after that.
That first clip is really important to know that most people don't know. I'm sure most of our listeners know, is that the central banks are private institutions owned by various families that have nothing to do with governments, as is the Federal Reserve. So basically, we have a mafia middleman just taking a vig on every dollar transaction, moving trillions of dollars around the world.
Of our taxpayer dollars. Don't tell me there's $600 billion in U.S. taxpayer fraud. Only 47% of United States citizens, 47% pay taxes at all. We have 1.2 million NGOs and nonprofits that are not nonprofits. They make money hand over fist, and they get investments from global billionaires nonstop and internal billionaires nonstop that have no regard for the people or democratic process or oversight. It's totally outside of our realm. Yes, Rob?
So one of the reasons why we love precious metals is that you can buy coins of gold and silver, and some people look at copper and other things, but we're looking mostly at gold and silver, and that is outside the central bank system. So you buy it privately. It sits in your home or in a safe deposit or a locker. With not safe deposit, but with the depository, right? And when you transact, no one knows.
Okay, that's not even the biggest point. The biggest point is we don't know what's going to happen with the U.S. dollar, and gold and silver is your best hedge. I know people are being hard on it. People are saying, why did we buy this? It went down. It didn't go down that much. And there's a lot of, from when we bought it at 1,700 an ounce, it's still in the 4,000 range, and it's going to go up, silver as well. But take a listen to this exchange. This is around the same time as the collapse. Ron Paul, always a hero. He has a great book about ending the Fed. I think we should really consider ending the Fed and getting private banking institutions out of the United States, particularly the ones that take our taxpayer dollars and send them to black holes in world banks and central banks that have no oversight and we have no say about. Take a listen to Ron Paul here.
Today is $1,580. The dollar during these last 3 years was devalued almost 50%. When you wake up in the morning, do you care about the price of gold?
Well, I pay attention to the price of gold, but I think it reflects a lot of things. It reflects global uncertainties. I think the reason people hold gold is as a protection against what we call tail risk, really, really bad outcomes. And to the extent that the last few years have made people more worried about the potential of a major crisis, then they have gold as a protection.
Do you think gold is money?
No.
It's not money.
Even if it had been
money for 6,000 years, somebody reversed that and eliminated that economic law.
Well, it's an asset. I mean, it's the same. Would you say Treasury bills are money? I don't think they're money either, but they're a financial asset.
Why do central banks hold it?
Well, it's a form of reserves.
Why don't they hold diamonds?
Well, it's tradition, long-term tradition.
Well, some people still think it's money.
Yeah, like us.
If you, I believe it's noted in the Constitution, and it's been
thousands of years.
And it's also many states are using gold and silver. By the way, you can go probably with us it's about 5 miles, but if you're in a more rural place, maybe in 20 or 30 minutes, you can find a dealer of gold or silver. And so the liquidity is really there. There's obviously a transaction cost, but what we're talking about here and gold and silver have made a nice rebound in the last few days. So if you're interested in learning more about gold and silver, go to themelkeshow.com, go to our partner page, Beverly Hills.
Gold.com is fixed. I know it was not going to the right place, but we have a new team that has found the problem. Melkgold.com, but also just get.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause that there. And, they're right about, the Federal Reserve. It's neither federal nor has any reserves. They just, they get a request from Congress so that they can blow more money on these NGOs. Then the Federal Reserve contacts the Treasury and has them print out more bills, and then the Federal Reserve loans those bills to the federal government and charges interest on it. What a racket. I wish I could get in on that. But at any rate, what you heard about with Dan Bongino and with Greg Hunter and right here with Mel K, we've been warned about, I've mentioned before, Dwight D. Eisenhower warned us about the military-industrial complex back in 1961 when he left office. And he was elected in 1952. So he learned about it when he was president, I'm sure, and tried to warn us about it. Here we are, 70 years later. Finally, we have someone like Donald Trump that's uncovering this and trying to expose it, if he can get the RINOs and deep state out of his way. Okay, let me go ahead and again, this video will be in my daily news wrap-up. If you want to see more of this, I'll skip past our commercial before you get there. Let me click on the Rumble link and show you that this video does come from the Mel K Show. It's a video I shared with you. I've given her a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right, let's jump back here. And thank you for the comments, the demonstration. I understand where you're coming from, okay? I've got personal family involved in this horrible, horrible thing. Okay, let's jump down here and see what Wendy Bell has to say. And it's a RINO revenge tour. Oh, that sounds like fun. Let's jump over here and see what she has to say. Oh man, I thought I had this.
Wallet to support your favorite.
You know what the problem is here? I need to make sure I'm sharing the right video with you, number one. Here we go.
One of the things about a talk radio show is that it's 3 hours of content. You carve out the commercials. A lot of radio hosts have guests. A lot of them take phone calls. I really don't do either. I'm selfish. I want you all to myself because I think the things that we talk about here matter. You don't have to be a 56-year-old mother of 5 sons to understand the things that I talk about. You don't have to be white. You don't have to be Catholic. You don't have to be conservative. Because what we share on this program, I think, crosses all of the political boundaries. Because at the end of the day, I mean, we're really not that complicated, not that different of people. I got to tell you, I'm really upset about everything regarding Anthony Fauci. I'm upset about his liaisons, the friends he made, the people he palled around with, particularly Bill Gates. Bill Gates, who I think is a dark and devilish man, who I have no doubt did dark and devilish things with Epstein. I have no doubt that is why his wife Melinda bailed on his creepy ass. Pardon my language. I am upset today. So back in 2001, I had just had my second son. It was December. I'd gone in to the doctor for a checkup with Jack. He was a newborn. The doctor checked out Jack and had suggested to me, you might want to take this shot. If you don't want to have another child right away, we'd had two in about 20 months, 22 months, something like that. If you don't want a child right away, you should talk to your OBGYN about this thing called Depo-Provera. And so I did. I had a checkup with my doctor, and the doctor was like, yeah, it's a great pregnancy stopper. Temporary, easy. And that was about the most critical thought I put into it. Till this morning, about half of an hour ago. I'm reading The Real Anthony Fauci, the book by Robert F. Kennedy Jr. It is disturbing. It is mind-bending. And I was leafing through the index just before we went on the air, because I wanted to see what other nasty things Fauci was accused of doing. AZT, AIDS and HIV, puppies, orphans, COVID. What else? So I stumbled upon this one page, and the name catches my attention. Depo-Provera. I'm like, what's that? It says Depo-Provera, a cruel irony. I'm going to read it to you. Population control has been the central preoccupation of the Gates Foundation since its inception. In 1999, Gates' $2.2 billion commitment to the UN Population Fund doubled the size of the Gates Foundation. The same year, he funded, with a $20 million contribution, the Johns Hopkins Center for Population. In 2017, the Gates Foundation adopted the goal of administering contraceptives to 214 million women in poor countries. Gates' contraceptive of choice is the long-term infertility agent, Depo-Provera. Population planners have administered Depo-Provera primarily to poor and Black women in the United States since its invention in 1967. In the United States, 84% of Depo-Provera users are Black, except me. What are the side effects? How about beyond not getting pregnant again? Because that's the reason it was made. How about this? Depo-Provera is a powerful poison with a devastating inventory of wretched side effects. Under federal law, the Depo-Provera label must bear FDA's most stringent black box warning. My doctor didn't tell me about that in 2001. And I didn't ask because I didn't know. And neither did he. Women have reported both missed periods and excessive bleeding, blood clots in the arms, legs, lungs, and eyes, stroke, weight gain, ectopic pregnancy, depression, hair loss, decreased libido, and permanent infertility. Fan-freaking-tastic. I couldn't get pregnant for 11 years after taking that shot, ladies and gentlemen. And for me to tell you right now how I mutilated myself over that, something must have been wrong with me. How on earth do I have two beautiful children and I can't do it again? Well, I can tell you how, and I can tell you why, and I can freaking tell you when. And it seems like a very odd conclusion for me to draw that thank God for COVID. How is that possible? How can I go to that? How can I say that? How? 15 million people, including 1 million in the United States. How many of you suffered because of that? Ungodly suffering. How could it possibly have any kind of a silver lining? Because we now do our own research. And many of us got that really weird feeling inside when they told us it was time for our kids. It's the right thing to do. It's for the greater good. It's what good people do. They listen to the experts. They listen and follow the science. There is no science on that shot that they pushed on everybody and his brother for COVID that told anybody it was safe or effective. Not one. In fact, beyond that, they knew it was a killer. And they did it anyway. And just like Depo-Provera back in 2001, doctors didn't do their own research. They didn't read the studies. They didn't ask the questions. And how many millions of us suffered? As I look back on what I got, the prizes I got out of my stunning, heartbreaking infertility. And any woman out there who's gone through it and the man she loves, who's right there with her, knows damn well what I'm talking about. I didn't have to go through all that. But if I hadn't, I wouldn't have gotten 3 of the most phenomenal prizes I've ever received. Bob, Chris, and Ryan. Today, what's at stake isn't just Anthony Fauci getting an official contempt charge. That happened, and we'll talk about it. It is about the awakening of more people just like me, who realize that somewhere along the way, they believed somebody who didn't take the time to ask questions. And for our children and grandchildren, we must say, never again. All right, when we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, you know, it's such a parallel here, getting pregnant and talking about Susan Collins. Just kidding. Kind of a hard detour on the bend. We're going to talk about her. Does somebody want to tell her who's really weaponized the Justice Department? Because we got to go after her. We got to drag this RINO who seems to be on a revenge tour, maybe. Let's go next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
All right, let me move this up here and we'll get our next segment in. But yeah, I felt bad when I heard that this morning too, Glow. But you know, I would have to venture to say that this information that's coming out, you know, about the pharmaceutical companies, the election fraud, the fraud with, you know, putting us at $37 trillion in debt with all the graft and fraud and corruption that's out there, I would venture to say that it's probably just the tip of the iceberg. You know, and folks, we need to share this out, and we need to make sure that we take this next election more serious than any other. I know we've heard that over and over again over the past 10 or 12 years, but you know that if the Republicans, do not maintain control of the House and Senate with President Trump in there, this will never, never be uncovered. You know that.
All right, if you don't go spend
doctor for half the 2 sentence, I really don't need a drug.
That's the fussy bumper music. Brock waits for when I'm feeling a little fussy. I'm feeling a little fussy. Let's talk about this Daily Caller headline. Why does Susan Collins oppose confirming Todd Blanche? Well, it's an interesting question. One reason apparently involves abortion pills. What? So we got Todd Blanche. Trump wants him to be not acting, but permanent attorney general. Blanche is getting some feedback, some pushback. Susan Collins, absolute RINO. She's like, I'm a no. He can only lose, I think, one more vote, and then he's toast, right? She says, look, this is Susan Collins saying this. She says, I've carefully reviewed Todd Blanche's qualifications to be attorney general. I will vote against this nomination, she said, okay? Among her reasons for opposing Blanche's confirmation include him promising an anti-abortion organization that he would seek to prohibit the mailing of abortion medication to women nationwide. That's what it is. That's the thing that's got her. Collins' post came after Blanche reportedly promised to achieve policy solutions that would make the U.S. Supreme Court's Dobbs decision, which overturned Roe versus Wade in 2022, permanent in every single state, during a conference call with the White House Faith Office on July 30. That against Susan Collins is like, look, that's too much. I can't do it. Really? That's your thing. This is, see, when you have RINOs in office, right, who refuse to do what the president says, you got to take a look at it, right? So we did. And we reviewed Susan Collins' voting record since her arrival to the Senate in 1997. It's been a while. It's been almost 30 years, right? And we find that she voted to confirm all 3 Democratic Supreme Court justices who reached a floor vote from 1997 through 2025. She helped get us Sonia Sotomayor, Elena Kagan, and Ketanji Brown Jackson. Thanks, Sue. Thanks. Plus, she voted to confirm Merrick Garland. Merrick Garland, who perhaps is the most corrupt, slimy scumbag ever at the DOJ. And that's saying something because it also involved Brennan and what's-his-face, Comey. Garland went on to weaponize the DOJ, right? Susan Collins thinks Todd Blanche is trying to weaponize the DOJ at Trump's bidding against his political adversaries. Hey, Earth to Susan Collins. I don't know if you've been living under some really rural Maine rock somewhere. I don't know. But you need to wake up, sweetness, because you, in fact, are the problem. Period. She voted to confirm Loretta Lynch as Attorney General in 2015. Remember Loretta Lynch, the same woman who had a private meeting with Bill Clinton on the tarmac, right, at Phoenix's airport while the Justice Department and the FBI were investigating what again? Oh, that's right, Hillary Clinton's private email server. Why ever would that be a conflict, right? No. Lynch said, no. The meeting was all about talking about our grandkids, right? It was just really folksy and homesy. And we didn't talk politics. We didn't talk shop. No. As it went on, after James Comey came out, he's like, no reasonable person would ever conclude that Hillary Clinton did anything actionable, right? Because he was in on the whole thing too. Russia, right? He's covering his own butt. Loretta Lynch didn't recuse herself, even in that tarmac meeting. No, she accepted the FBI's recommendation to close the investigation without any charges into Hillary Clinton, right? Susan Collins voted for that. Not Todd Blanche, but Loretta Lynch. Well, what, before that, in 2009, I think it's just appropriate that we walk down memory lane together, right? 2009, Collins voted to confirm Eric Holder as the Attorney General. Not Todd Blanche, but Eric Holder. You remember Operation Fast and Furious? That super swell gun trafficking investigation where federal agents let guns reach suspected Mexican cartel buyers ostensibly so the feds could trace the weapons back to the cartels, et cetera, et cetera. Some of those guns, don't you know, later appeared at the scene where a Border Patrol agent was killed in 2010. Oh, goody. Susan Collins voted for Eric Holder, but Todd Blanchard, oh, that's too much. No. Eric Holder, of course, was later held in contempt of Congress after the House and the Justice Department failed to prosecute, or provide, rather, documents about the operation. Do you not see? It's been the same freaking system. It's been the same cycle. We're all looking at the same washer and dryer, right? The different models, but it's all the same cycle. We're going to do this. We're going to hide. We're going to cover it up. We're going to slow walk. We're going to stonewall. We're going to obfuscate. While we're doing that, we're going to throw stones at Trump or a Republican so that we can blame them for doing what we're actually doing. Then when things get kind of dicey, we're going to need the media to jump in. They're going to have to help with the wrap-up smear to help with the story that we're not doing anything. These other people are doing it. And then if that doesn't work, got to call Harry Enton from the bullpen, right? Get the phone, call Harry Enton. Dude, we need a poll. Give me a poll that we can drop that either makes everybody go haywire about something else or further covers our own actual illegalities. It's so disgusting. Rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat. And we're at this critical juncture now, ladies and gentlemen, with one dude, Tony Fauci, who thinks he's above the law. He thinks he's above all of it. He's above reproach. He's above criticism. He's above any kind of punishment. He's above even answering simple questions. What color is the carpet? What is your name? I don't have to answer anything. Bungu. He middle fingered all of us. This is that critical moment in American history when we realize, are there two systems of justice or not? You're either freaking guilty and you pay, or you're guilty and you walk. And here's the funny little thing for the government right now. Oh, we're all watching. Because all of us, in one way or another, have been damaged by Mr. Science. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, let's talk about this whole RINO thing, this investigation. I have to say, Democrats have to deal with the socialists. MAGA have to take down the RINOs. And I got a couple we're going to name. John Solomon drops 2 Republican names who are obstructing progress. Oh, boy. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
All right. So I thought that was very interesting where she talked about Eric Holder, where he was charged with contempt of Congress. Isn't that what they're doing to Fauci? Now, that's amazing, isn't it? Oh, yay, contempt of Congress. What happened to Eric? Nothing. So, contempt of Congress, what does that mean? Okay? So, what does it mean? Nothing. So what? I don't know that Fauci's going to receive any retribution for anything that he's done. He did get contempt of Congress, but, that's, I don't know. I don't know what kind of punishment that entails, because Eric Holder didn't, I don't think, suffer. So let me click on the Rumble link here and show you that this video does come from Wendy Bell Radio. This is the video I shared with you. I've given her a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right, let's jump back here. And, all right, let me check this out. Okay, the demo station. That was interesting. I had heard something about that before, about the government taking loans out on you, and I did some quick checking with Grok and ChatGPT, and both of those platforms say no. But I have to step back here, and maybe you can help me out on this in a comment or something. Who would they borrow the money from? and I don't understand who would they borrow the money from? Okay, and how would it get paid back? Because, I'm actually collecting Social Security. I'm retired, and I seem to get my Social Security, what they say I'm supposed to get every month. So I'm a little bit confused. Did the government take out a loan against you? I mean, how would that ever get paid back? I mean, if they did it against my parents, I believe I watched my parents get buried. I went to the funeral. They were in the casket. They took the casket and put it in the ground. So, my dad left me an inheritance, so they didn't take any of his money. So I'm not sure where that comes from, who they would borrow the money from. I don't know. But at any rate, I do thank you all for your comments. I want to go ahead and copy those in there. And I will do some more looking around on that. But what I've found out so far is no, the government doesn't do that. But let me go ahead and put these comments in our chats in a comment so that they will be a permanent part of the video. I thank you very much, folks, for all your chats. I really appreciate that. And let me remind you here that these videos that I've shared with you tonight come directly from the producer. I've got the links to the videos in the description box, as well as links to the producer's channel. So if you want to go check out more information, right here's the link to the Mel K Show. If you want to see more of that. Okay, and these videos that I've shared with you here are videos that I've posted on Mertech.com, where I have over 40 no-nonsense, common sense, logic, and truth videos. Right here's the one from USA Watchdog. Right here's the one from Wendy Bell that I shared with you. Okay, right here's the one from Mel K that I shared with you. Right here's the video from Dan Bongino that I shared with you. Okay, I pull all this information right off of Mertech.com. I post it, update the site multiple times a day, and go through there and find some of the best stories. Sometimes I miss sharing them with you, and that's why I some of the stories with you, and that's why I put together my daily news wrap up. Okay, where I have the videos that I've shared with you already in this podcast. We're going to finish up on those. It says I have 24 videos here, about 9 or 10 hours worth of great information. Also got some information from X22 Report, We the People News, On the Fringe, Steve Deace Show, The Sean Spicer Show, And We Know, AP for Liberty. A ton of great information here, folks, that I'm gonna get going here tonight. But go ahead and take a break right now. Grab a cup of coffee and a donut or a sandwich and a soft drink or a beer, nice glass of wine and some cheese, and meet me back here in about 15 or 20 minutes, and we'll get this going. But in the meantime, I do want to thank you for being here. I thank you for all your chats and all your input. I greatly appreciate that. Hopefully, I'll get to see you again later, and may God bless.